Hello and welcome to our second part of our tutorial series. In this part we'll be doing all of the coding for our quick little app. So let's get started. First we need to go on the main storyboard. Okay, let's close this, the debug. Okay. First we're going to create a label. In the object we will type in label and here we are. It's that easy. This blue line in the middle, if you don't already know, shows where the center of the screen is. And if we drag it upwards, we can see where the top is. I'm going to stretch it across to the sides. And I am going to call it, by double clicking, starting number. I will then create another label underneath it, drag it to the sides. We're going to call this one multiplying number. And another one, this one will be called dividing number. Alright. So the next step is we're going to select all the labels and we're going to go on the attributes inspector. That's this little button here. It looks kind of like a shield. And we're going to click center. This will center all of the labels, so its alignment will be in the middle. We're going to click on this color here, and we're going to click on this blue. So now you can see they're all blue. Next, we're going to change the font and the font size. So here it is. We click on this little T button here, and I'm going to click on custom under font, so we can now choose which font we want. I particularly like Gill Sans, but you can use what you want. And we're going to keep this regular, and we're going to change the size to about 20 pixels. There we go. Now we'll create the text fields. A text field is simply a box for the user to type in. So let's create 3 of them. And we're going to put them underneath each label, sorry. There we go. And I'm going to hold down the shift key to select them all. And under clear button, we're going to put in appears while editing. The clear button is simply the little X to the side of the text field when you're typing it in, and you click that button and it clears all the values inside of it, the box. We'll set the keyboard to numbers and punctuation, so it's already set on the number screen in the keyboard. And we're going to click on the return key to done. We're going to change the text size. And we'll go on to custom again. Gill Sans. And we just keep it on 14. Okay. Now we're going to create another label. And this will be the label which shows the final calculation. I'm going to put it just above the bottom in the center. Once again, I'll drag it across. Another way to do a label, let's say I get rid of this, if instead of doing all of this again and changing all the styles, I can Command C to copy this label, Command V to paste it, and there we go. And this time I'm only going to change the text to 00.00. And there we go. And now we're going to create a button this time. Put it above the final label, drag it across. It's already set to center alignment. And we're going to call this calculate. This will be our calculating button. And I'm going to make it bold by clicking on the T again and going on system bold. Okay, so that's all for the main storyboard. Now we're going to go on to the viewcontroller.h. This is the place where we identify all the links to the outlets in the storyboard that we created. So I'm going to write some code and then explain it. IB outlet is simply the word used to identify that it's an outlet in Xcode. So this includes text fields, labels, and it gets all the values from them. I'm going to call it, so here we go, IB outlet, which identifies as an outlet, UI text field, which says that it's a user interface text field, an asterisk, which says to Xcode that it's a pointer, and then the name of it. You can call it what we want. I'm calling it text field A. This is for the first text field. Just to make it easier, I'm just going to paste that and call this one B and this one C for our 3 text fields. We also need another IB outlet, UI label this time, for our outcome, and we'll just call it outcome. All of this has to be within the brackets of the interface. The next 2 that we need to put in is an action, so it's IB action. We're going to call this one calculate. And the other one, and that's our calculation button. The other one that we're doing, we need to add in an ID sender. And this one, we're going to call it, we'll call it text field. And semicolon at the end. This one here, we're going to code it so that when you click the done button on the text field, it will close the text field, because unfortunately that's not automatically perceived by the compiler. So now we go on to this, the viewcontroller.m, and this is where you put all the code that you need to run. As you can see, it comes up with a warning sign up here and up here, and simply what it says is we haven't added in the 2 actions that we talked about in the viewcontroller.h. So all of these must be added in for there not to be no errors, but we're going to do that now. Okay, so here we'll start with the calculation, IB action, calculate, and then we do 2 braces, and we write outcome.text. I'm just going to do this and then I'll explain what it all means. Okay, here we go. So what this little piece of code is, this is our calculation code. It says outcome.text. Remember, outcome is our label, so our final label, which will show the final calculation. .text is a value which we're taking from it. So in this case, it's the text value. So what it says to the UI interface. And we're going to assign it to this value. And this value basically says a string with a format of %f, which is indicating that it's a float value, which is basically an integer with decimals. And the float value is of this calculation, which simply is the text field a.text.float value, so it grabs the float value from the first text field, multiply it by the second text field, and finally divide it by the third. So it might look complicated for now, but it's a pretty simple piece of code that you'll soon get used to, and it's a pretty well used one. The next bit is the closing of the text field. So we go IB action, and this one is, I believe, it's text field. There we go. The braces, and here is an action, so we're going to write self and then resign first responder and semicolon. This will simply resign the responder from the text field when it is clicked the return button, which in our case is done. Next, we have to connect all the links. So let's go ahead and into the main storyboard. And we're going to click on this tuxedo icon called the Assistant Editor. And here we go. So right now it's on the viewcontroller.m, but we want the viewcontroller.h. Okay, so this is text field A, text field B, and text field C. What we're doing, these little circles around here indicate that something has to be connected to the storyboard, and we're simply dragging from the circle to where we want this to go. Outcome is the label down here. Calculate is the button here. These three labels don't need to be connected because we're not changing their values or taking values from them in any way. Next, this text field ID sender is a bit different. We're going to have to click on the text field here and go onto the connection inspection. And here we're going to have to click on did_end.exit. If I simply did this, it would edit on editing did_end, and we don't want that. We want it on did_end.onExit. So we have to drag this little circle onto the text field, and we have to do the same with all three. Okay, and that's that. Let's run it and see how it looks. We're going to put it on an iPhone 4-inch because we set this to 4. If this is in a 3.5-inch scale, then simply set it to 3.5-inch. Here we go. Run. Here we go. It's all loaded up now. Okay, so as you can see, it all looks good. We're going to put in our starting number of 3.2, second number 6.7. I'm simply typing in the keyboard, but we can also use the keypad. And let's click done. Yep, that all works, and calculate. There we go. But it looks a long number, and no one cares about these last decimal points. So we're going to go ahead and change that. In the viewcontroller.m, we wrote %f, but now I'm going to change this to %.2f. This basically tells the compiler to round it off to the nearest second decimal point. And also, I noticed that the text inside the text field was to the left, and we want it to the center. So we're going to go onto the attributes inspector, and by holding down Shift, I select all three of them. I'm going to put it on center, and then we're going to change this to a light blue color. And let's test that out. No issues. 5.6, 7.8, and this can be as long a number as we want, and it should. There we go. So that's all for this part tutorial. The next part, the final part, I'll show you how to put an app on the App Store. So thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And for the full details, including all of the code for this tutorial, please visit atomicnitrogames.com. I'll have the link below. Thank you.